I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul. And we are
SP Filmviewers.
It's the end of 2024 as we know it, and I feel fine.
Do you? You sure?
Yeah, why?
I don't know. I feel fine. It just wasn't very convincing.
Sorry, we're doing a bit more gusto.
Yeah.
And I feel fine. Better?
A little. I kind of like these ones the best out of the entire podcasts we do.
Why is that?
Well, I get away with murder more because you're having a drink and it's more just reviewing the year that we've had, and I think that's always a nice thing to do.
Yeah. No, absolutely, yeah. So, as you may or may not be familiar with this format of this episode in particular, is a sort of like retrospective look at the year we've had, what the films we've covered in a more loosey-goosey way than we would normally, so there'd be very few edits for me because I don't know how long we'll be going on talking about things and just just other stuff that we've done through the year or anything like that crops up. So
yeah, I feel like it's a nice little tradition now that we do where we talk about the whole year as a whole, and I think it's good to kind of look at films that we've seen, films that we haven't reviewed but we've watched in the movies, or like things that have come out. I think it's just really good to have a nice little chat at the end of the year. Not saying I don't want to speak to you the rest of the year, I do, but
thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So before we get into things, I want to get the stuff where we talk about the patrons, thanking them.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we've had a really good year for patrons. I think it's been one of those where we've grown quite a bit, and we've also, I don't know, I just feel like we've become a little family of patrons, which is nice. I think they've picked some good films. I'll give them that. They have picked some rubbish ones, but I feel like I'm blaming you. So if you do want to become a patron for 2025, it only costs £1 a month or $1.50, which is hardly anything. So you can subscribe and you will get to vote once a month and get nominated every single episode. So to do that, you need to go to our Linktree.
Yeah, and the site is patreon.com/SP Filmviewers. And so I would like to thank our current patrons, who are Alex and Shani, who are desperately seeking username, and SDOG, Chris Gren or Gren, who is at @cgren_draw on Instagram, Danny and Emma, or Jones and Emma, who are at @WeightLossJonesy and M_Hayton on Instagram.
Then our podcasters.
Yep.
So we have got Nico from the Good, the Bad and the Weird podcast. We've got Mark from 100 Things We Learned from Film. And then we have got Ben from Push Pull Health, formerly from Film Vloggers. And lastly, but not least, my mum.
Yep, so thank you for your continuing support, and long may it continue into the new year with picks. And I've got a good one lined up for, we'll get around to that in January. So
already? Look at you, looking organised for January.
I'd also like to thank our guests we've had this year as well before we get into films.
We did want to aim for a guest per
one per month. Yeah.
It didn't happen, but I feel like this is the most guests we've had.
I think so, yeah, looking back on what I remember from other episodes and stuff.
And I remember when we used to have guests, it used to really daunt me, but you've thrown me in some curveballs here with some movies that I have to watch and guest on. And really, I've upset some people as well, probably, this year.
And also, is to note, I think every single person we've had on as guests has been from the UK as well.
Well
as opposed
done.
to not, working with state times and...
Don't get me wrong, if you want to guest on us, and we will do state times, we will,
much more limited with...
It is more easier, isn't it?
It is. So I would like to thank Jazz from Church of Cinema.
We covered Poor Things, yeah.
Sarah from Sarah Popcorn Chat on Instagram and YouTube. That was Scooby-Doo.
Yep, remember
Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed. The Big Lebowski, Sam from Sam of film blogger Sam fame of Instagram and YouTube.
He brought so much knowledge to that. He actually twisted me around. Like, I just thought this was a crap film. And then he was like, actually explain the Big Lebowski in a different light. And I think it actually got a better score out of me.
M at Verbal Diorama for Point Break.
That was a good one. I enjoyed that so much. We were just crushing over
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, and Patrick Swayze.
James from at Biscuits and Blu-ray for Alien.
I'm sorry, James.
Not Sophie's bag, that one.
He was so lovely as well, but I just couldn't.
And Sean and Sarah from Review It Yourself for The Mummy, 1999 version. Yeah, blockbuster one that was. And,
it was good. It's all right. I think we did cover it really well. Was I as impactful as Sean and Sarah? Maybe not. But overall, I think gave it a good review.
And then there's a big gap for a long while. So we did really well at the beginning of the year.
Started off with good intentions.
And they kind of petered out a little bit, unfortunately, but no matter. But the last one we did was for Halloween month, and that was with Jordan from Movie Worm YouTube channel.
Scouser.
Yes. For A Nightmare on Elm Street.
To be honest, he had me really easy on that one. I was surprised at how well I liked Freddy Krueger.
As well.
I was considering it for something else later on, but I'll tell you about that.
Okay. Right, so get into the films then that we've kind of...
Can I just whack my piece of paper out?
Yeah, we've got a piece of paper with little notes on them.
So if you hear any scrunches and anything like that, you know why.
So according to my notes, you gave 6 10s this year, and I only gave 4. Although there were some close ones for me, but
yeah, I've got here that you gave 3 9.5s. Just because for whatever reason they couldn't
quite
be a 5, be a 10, not 5. I don't know if I'm more generous, or if you just.
Well, you normally say that about me. To be fair, like in other instances from the past, you're like, "Oh, you give loads of things a 10."
But looking at what I've given a 10 to. Like the first one, let's just go in. The Sound of Music, and you gave it a 9.5. Like, to me, it's a no-brainer. I'm not going to come back and look at the score and go, no, I'm not going to not give it a 10. Like, would you now think actually? Because we have just recently rewatched it.
Yeah,
would it come to a 10 again, or what's lacking that 0.5, Paul?
I don't know. It might even go down to 9. For that one,
what the hell?
I don't know if it's like my favourite musical. Looking back on it now, especially when
you're breaking my heart. We're sticking at 9.5. That's what you said. We're sticking at that. We're not knocking it down.
But there are options available to do that if you want to bump them up more, knock them down.
You don't have that option. I'm sorry, not on that one. It's not negotiable. You gave it 9.5. Jesus, I never thought you'd go up, actually. I'll knock it down. Why would you knock it down?
I don't know. I don't think I quite enjoyed it the first time around, I think. Maybe it's because you've seen it too soon, like same 2 times in a year kind of
possibly thing,
but I don't know. But you just wouldn't change, you still keep it 10.
I would still, yes, 100%. I still loved it the second time round. Singing along, really enjoying it. No brainer. And I think it helps that my mum has a connection to it. So it has Edelweiss's song in there, which is one of my grandma's favourite songs. So every time my mum watches it with me now, she'll cry at that point. So now it's kind of become a little bit more poignant. So even when
Well, that's understandable, yeah.
I'm older,
sentimental.
I think even if I had children and let them watch it,
Mhm.
I probably would be emotional if my mum was no longer around.
Yeah.
So I think it's got that little connection towards it.
Mhm.
So just going through then, the next 10 I can see is Akira, which
That's why I gave.
yeah,
Yeah.
which I didn't agree with.
Bit too
Booby.
and violent and graphic for an
An
anime.
anime, yeah. I think I go with anime bar as Studio Ghibli, so coming into this was a little bit like, oh.
Yeah, I know, but you could obviously Grave of the Fireflies is their most heavy hitting one.
It is, but it's not. It's still not like cosplay, like anime where like they've got the boobs out and they're like, ooh. Like I think it was just a bit more tailored to a male audience. I felt like there was a lot of
what Akira was, or
Akira.
Grave of the Fireflies. I'm thinking, right, what?
No, Akira.
Right.
I think I kind of obviously we've been watching Demon Slayer.
Yes.
And obviously there's that new character that's come in that's one of the like elite, and she's like got white and pink and green hair.
Yeah.
And she seems to be like over the top with the bong kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's typical when I think of anime, like TV series and stuff. That's what you normally get for your
But like
characters.
I like that Netsuko isn't like that in that, so
except when she becomes
a demon. Yeah. But at least it's not
mature,
all the time.
Yeah.
Would you still score Akira as a 10?
Yeah, I think so. I was actually like thinking back on it, like how blown away I was by it.
By the bazongas.
There was one scene maybe, and there wasn't the rest of like the quality of the film itself. It was like seeing it for the first time. If I recall me saying again, and so that's kind of like, wow, this is like a breath of fresh air type of thing. And
I just didn't really appreciate the story. I think I just didn't. It wasn't my cup of tea.
I'm going to say, unfortunately, that the fact that Annie May was quite cut short a little, wasn't it? Really, with
oh yes.
Yeah,
that seems so long ago now. To be fair, like in May we lost our little Jack Russell. The pitter patters are no longer there, but we still got Arthur. So
there's still pitter patters.
Yeah, just not the same. Not as heavy footed.
Opening the door every 2 minutes. Yeah,
it's weird how life sadly adjusts and you do carry on. I guess it's sad, really.
Yeah.
So the next one was a 10 from me, which was Belle. Absolutely. Like now, if I had to compare Akira to Belle, like clearly we prefer different animes because you only gave it an 8.5. Whereas Belle to me is absolutely stunning. Like visually, it is beautiful. There is so many colours when she is Belle, and then you've kind of got this story of true real life, like how you want to hide behind a mask to fit it in. And I don't know, I feel like it's got more morals, it's got more harsh hitting things like being abuse and being bullied. It's really
sort of realistic in that sense.
Yeah, and you feel like you connect to your characters a lot more personally. I think it's a lot stronger for me.
And also, I guess that's because it's like a connection to Beauty and the Beast anyway. So
which, yet again, biasedly, I used to love. Well, still do. She's my favourite, like Disney princess. I would say is Belle. I think that's because she's not your cliche or I fall for a man. He has to rescue me and kiss me and wake up. She does like a book. She does want to be independent. I think.
Yeah, I get that.
So the next 10's yours.
For Alien, yes. Yeah, that still stands. That's still like.
I think he could knock that down to a 9.
No, it's not changing now. The sci-fi horror aspects of it are just. It's still mesmerising, like how well the story flows and everything now gives you the sort of that sense of well, isolation for one thing,
and
everything feels empty. Obviously, it would be because it's kind of in like a space.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It'd occur, and then it's like, oh, what can you do? Because there's not much room to maneuver around in and everything like that. I think just the atmosphere kind of leads, and it's not. It doesn't. It's like another case of don't go overblown with like showing the creature every 2 seconds type of thing. You're kind of keeping it in the shadows, and that's kind of more suspense and scariness to it.
Definitely
really.
is.
And I think I think it's from sort of like studying the artist Giga from like in like art school, like art at school, and so being fascinated by this like biological human form or animal form, whatever, and melding it with like machinery to kind of like make this weird hybrid kind of thing. Looks very alien. So and futuristic science fiction elements. So yeah,
I do think I was a bit harsh on this one, but I think with it being one of those films where it's like, oh, Alien, it's really meant to be amazing. Everyone highly recommends it. It's got like this weird like cult thing where people are like, oh, they you know, like it's a cult classic now. Like might not have been as popular back in the day, but everyone's kind of like.
I think you'd be right. It's not like one of those things where I don't think it bombed at the box office or anything like that. I think it didn't. Because with like the way that the poster was designed, like it didn't give anything away. Like today, again, you'd see like with the thing back to Romulus, which we have done an episode on, and like seeing the trailer for that, and it gives you halfway the story. It's like, oh well, you know that character's going to be oft in 2 minutes. Like, oh,
there's literally no just watched half anymore. The film, haven't you?
I know it's kind of because of especially with a franchise like this, it's hard to give any sort of keep any surprises hidden because you know what the aliens do. But at the same time, it's like, oh, don't like show everything because now you're going to go through the film. Oh well, that's from that scene. It's like, well,
true.
What's the point?
I think for me with Alien versus Alien Romulus was Alien. I assumed I was going to see aliens, and I think it was more like a suspense thing where it took a very long time for like anything to really come about. I think it felt dragged out a little bit for me, like with the pacing of things. Right. I think I wasn't invested in the characters as much, and that's why it did get such a low score. So it got like a 5/6 from me.
So there you go. So what would, on like reflection? I know you haven't seen it since, but what?
I don't think I'd want to. That's the thing.
Okay.
That's the issue with the scoring. Like a 7.5 to me would be like I would rewatch it. Anything below that means I'm not really going to want to go back to it. And I don't think it's going to be ever one of those like, oh, right, I'm just going to sit in my pajamas and put Alien on. I'm never going to say that. I'm just not. I can appreciate what it is and I can appreciate what they've done and how they've done it, and artistically it is. Probably I could rewatch it and maybe get attached to the main lady a little bit. I just feel like the dialogue's weak. It's just not strong dialogue to keep you occupied, and there's a lot of quiet space.
Well, spoiler alert. There's probably going to be covering aliens in 2025.
Why? Doing another?
No, they did. Have you seen the films now? Are in the correct order because they did Alien and then they did Aliens a while after. Right. But now the Alien Romulus is in between Alien and Aliens. So
why? Why is it in between when it's only just come out?
I think we've had this discussion before, I'm sure.
Annoys me. Someone's being greedy.
And so, move on from that. It's like the longest talking point we've had on that. Inside Out.
Both agreed.
Both agreed on that one.
Agree again?
Yeah.
Anything would change?
No, still holds up as a good pick. When Pixar was good, I'd say. Yeah. And emotionally invested in.
Yeah.
Yeah. They seem to have lost their way a little bit as time's gone on. But
I think you're right. And I think for me, what made me score this as a 10 was every time I've watched this in different stages of my life, it's hit me differently with the emotions. Like last time I watched it, I think I was more joy.
Yeah.
And then this time I agreed with sadness a lot more, which was a little bit like, oh, so you're all right. But it's like, actually, not everything has to be happy clappy all the time. You can be sad, and that's absolutely normal.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's a great film. And I think emotions are hard, and I think it's something, if you did have children, it would be a good thing to teach them to understand. It's just a shame that Inside Out 2 doesn't hit as hard.
Yeah, I thought, well, it'd been like 9 years since they did follow up to it, which, I mean, yeah, I didn't even think they would even do a follow up, but here we are.
Do you think they're going to do a third one now?
Yeah, I 100% think they will do. Maybe it'll be a bit soon.
40s, or do you think early 20s?
Well, that's what I brought up when we did the episode, which was one of the birthday specials. And I had a theme with that one of the, like, inside your body kind of controlling. And where it was like, oh, it could either be, yeah, she's a mum, and then as in a, like, the follow up, like the final in the trilogy, if we say that, or it could be a completely different kid. I don't know.
I think early 20s sounds quite good. Just because I think when you've finished uni, or you've done whatever, or you've come out of school and up at school,
finding your way, yeah, which is 18. And
I feel like 20 is a really hard stage. Like, you feel like you should have all your stuff together, but you don't.
Yeah.
You only get to your stuff together somewhat in your 30s, I think, to be honest. And then even then, someone can throw you a curveball. But we did have a really good cinema experience. I think this is, like, if I had to say, for me, movie of the year.
Yeah, I just ask you what.
I would say Deadpool versus...
No, Deadpool and Wolverine, not first.
Like
even though technically they were somewhat worse.
That one would be... I was really disappointed, because this was like... I kind of classed this as your birthday, even though obviously we reviewed it the week after.
Yeah.
We went actually on your birthday weekend. I paid for you to go. I was going to get you the popcorn bucket with Deadpool and Wolverine. And then you scored it 8.5. And I was like, wait a minute. Why is it not a 10? Would you
just because it's a birthday, I must automatically give it.
No, I just really thought because you wanted to go.
Oh, no, it is.
It was like going to be higher.
It was definitely a step in the right direction for Marvel, because it's been very stagnant with like just not interested in what they say churn out these days after Endgame. They've never reached that high.
I think this was a high,
and then it was like, oh, there's a little bit of hope here. But maybe that's because obviously I'm like a soft spot for like Deadpool as a character,
and even Wolverine. Like, I feel like, we have rewatched this because obviously it's come out now on Disney Plus.
We've got it in 4K though.
Yeah,
because you know. Yeah.
Why not? But so the fact that you've actually gone out and purchased a physical copy of it in 4K, rewatching it, do you want to change your score, or are you happy with how?
No, I'm fine with leaving it as is. There is serviceable, like a high. There's still a high score, I'd say. Like, it's still a.
You're not even wanting to bump it up to a 9, no.
No, I'm gonna leave that as is.
Okay, Peasley 8.5.
Peasley. That's actually a 7.
Sorry?
It's actually a 7.
It's not. You would never. Would you buy a 4K version of something if it was a 7? It's a waste of money, in my opinion.
Not unless I hadn't seen it. Yeah, if I'd seen it, I wouldn't sink money into it and go, you know what?
Because literally, like, if you're buying things that are 4K versions of something
exactly.
you score 7,
at this point in my life,
that's stupid.
Yeah, unless it's a gamble,
That's fine, because like, if you're not sure, but if you... Like, so clearly this must be like you really liked it because you bought it.
For a bit of like fun that it is, it's nothing like it made me think about things. That's what I mean.
Think it depends on what you're going in for. Like, I loved it because of the music. Like, that was like the like 90s / early 2000s in me.
But at the same time, you could just play the soundtrack and get the same experience.
No, because I thought it was something really clever about the fight scenes to that.
Right.
I've never seen something like that before. Like, Guardian of the Galaxy tries, but
I'd say that was more of the case of doing like with little Groot doing little dance to Mr. Blue Sky with his headphones in.
It's just, I think it's more older generation music, like more the 80s they're going for on that vibe, not 90s to 2000s.
Style Order.
Yeah.
Quill is of that era, I guess.
That's the only thing. So some of them I'm not as... I've probably learned the songs from the movie rather than knowing of them.
Yeah. True. Yeah, whereas obviously like the Bye Bye.
Yeah.
NSYNC dance and everything.
It straight away got me. I was like hooked. Until I realised it wasn't Ryan Reynolds in that suit. I was pretty disappointed. I'm not going to lie. Mm-hmm. I was like, he's got moves. Naive.
My next 10 was Inglourious Bastards.
I had to be reminded of what this was, didn't we, when we went through the list? I put Brad Pitt, Nazis. And that was like my brain reminder to be, what is the film? It was good, but I think it was just a bit
Well, that is the intention of it, really, with like
too political, yeah.
And rewriting history with how the war ended, which
if only we could.
No, yeah, but that's like creative people like Tarantino to do that with like that tongue-in-cheek kind of edge to it and bit of that, satirical to it is really good. And I think I think there was certain things in that still held up, like sort of like the tension that was built even from the very first watch and still going through. And it's just, I don't know, there's something just about it. Obviously, like Tarantino with the dialogue and everything really works. And I think in the context of what this is about, like political, like trying to weigh up like people, like making deals with people and all that kind of stuff, and like sussing them out, that works perfectly in this because it's like, well, do they know what? That I'm like a like a double agent type of thing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And still, I don't know, and yeah.
I think I'll be honest. I've really learned something about myself this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like space films. I think I knew that already. Because what was the one with Sandra Bullock where she were like...
Gravity.
I hated that. Everyone else thought it was amazing. I'm like, she's just been floating in space for 2 hours. There's literally naff all there. And then I've noticed I don't like war films. There's just a bit of a thing about it, which is weird because I do like Sound of Music. However, I don't think it's all about war. It creeps in at the end, and it is a bit of
when you say that with this though, it's not like they're in the thick of like the battlefield, like,
but I think it's
in the trenches and everything.
I think it's just the whole idea of war. Like, for example, when we watched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Yeah. Thank you for that.
I know we did The Good, Bad, and Weird.
I think it's always because we say Nico, Good, Bad, and the Weird. The weird just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
That I was enjoying it partly until it got to the war bit, and I was like, it just felt like a lot of a slog. And I know the war happens; it's important to cover. I just don't need a history lesson when I'm watching a movie. Personally, I'd rather have it a little bit lighter and fluffy. Okay. And it's my ignorance.
That's fine, yeah.
So I think that's where we're at. However, you could kind of say I'm being a little bit harsh on this one as well, because my next 10 is a bit...
Yeah, around that as well.
It kind of is. But I think it's petered in. It's kind of said, the husband's been sent to war in Little Women.
Mm-hmm.
There is kind of like rations and people are struggling and stuff, but you don't see like bombs, you don't see aeroplanes, you don't see the thick of it. It's just kind of set around that time. It's not the whole focus on it. It's around these, is it 5 daughters?
Yeah.
And just how they are and interacting, and the dialogue's really strong. You connect with every single one of them and want well. And I think the main other guy that we've got that's played Wonka,
Timothée Chalamet, yeah.
His acting style is great. I've really grown to like him as a actor this year. And the other lady, the one that married him in the Little Women, she was in
Florence Pugh, or no, Saoirse Ronan.
She's been in, is it the
Lady Bird?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think you enjoyed the other lady, didn't you?
Yeah, Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, just seeing Hermione in a different role as well. Obviously, we've seen her in
Perhaps being a Wallflower.
Yeah, and I've just forgot about that one as well. Being a This is the thing when you say about, because we're going to go into his top 10s. I forget films I've watched, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a really good one. That could have gone on there. I hadn't thought about it.
Well, it's good. I mean, just on the basis of that, it's kind of good that you get into a point now where it's like, oh, you've got, because we watch so many films now. It wasn't like well, it's easy to just pick 10 because those are the ones I've liked since I was 16, and they're just all rom-coms kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I'd probably say that there still are.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying all of them being like an easy thing. It's there's only 10 films I've seen, so it's going to be those ones. Whereas there's a whole heap.
Yeah,
more
it does
to
get
pick from.
harder, but then you forget sometimes. I think of what you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I do personally.
Yeah. And that Little Women was somewhat like, because I hadn't seen it myself, I didn't know the background of it. It's sort
And
of
it
like
was long as well.
Yes, it was, and that has sort of like a Christmas element to it as well, didn't it? So that was in
September.
Around your birthday.
Yeah. But would you still agree with 9.5? Because that was one of yours.
I think I said, if I remember correctly, I said in that one it would be, if I saw it again, that's likely to go up in my expressions. I think I also said that, I was like, oh, I can imagine it would look great in 4K, and I think they are actually doing that in 4K, but I think it's part of a big box set. So it's like, right, okay. So, but I've got a feeling at some point they'll just do a standalone disc of it, because they
you think you need shelf space, Paul?
Yeah. Because they don't necessarily need the other films that are in the box set. Because they did that with Taxi Driver eventually. So it's just a waiting game, I think, like a lot of some of these things. I think even like I said, again, Sound of Music. Why is that not on 4K? Like, that would look absolutely amazing. I think there's rumours that this year, next for 2025, there's going to potentially be Sound of Music. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay,
that's just rumours.
Well, don't do that to me. Have we covered all of your 10s now?
Yes, we have.
So we did Akira, Alien, Inside Out,
Glorious Bastards.
Okay, cool. I've just got one more.
Yep. Which is Edward Scissorhands.
It is. I was just checking in about the holdovers as well. I was thinking, I'm sure I scored that high. But yeah, that was only a 9. But Edward Scissorhands, I don't know, I've noticed I'm really quite... I like an underdog. I like to feel sorry for somebody.
Everybody.
And maybe. And I like the fact that normally you root for him. Sadly, this wasn't a happy ending, which surprised me in the sense that I still rated it highly, because normally that would downscore me. But I think it was something like really poetic about it that just felt magical Christmas. I just didn't think I'd love it as much. I didn't really.
Neither did I, to be honest. And I was more again surprised that I thought you would have seen the film before.
I think he seemed creepy with scissors on his hands. That it would have freaked me out when I was younger.
Yeah.
I just hadn't seen. I've seen bits of it, but I've never seen the whole thing of it. And I know obviously what he looked like.
Yeah.
Just like Forrest Gump.
Yeah. Just like, one of those things you see in pop culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact that we have actually done some really, really really classic films this year as well.
Yeah, and some not so classic.
Well, like the Titanic, for example.
I mean, theoretically, that is like a classic in terms of most people's eyes.
And Forrest Gump.
That was looking like, I think that was like one of my favourite episodes we did, just because of how you went to town on.
Well, I feel like I was really disappointed because I'll be honest, like for the half of the film, maybe like even 3/4 of it, I was fully invested in Romeo and Juliet. I was going to say Romeo and Juliet. Jack and Rose's relationship. I was like, I'm in love with this. Like, and then the way she left him, I was just like, no, not having that. Like, yeah, okay, he's not worth as much monetary value, but it doesn't mean he's got a kind heart and he's a human being. And there was enough space on the board. And the fact that she took the blue, don't even... If you want to go hear me getting on my soapbox, then you have to go listen to the Titanic. Yeah. That's how I'm going to plug it.
Yeah, that was funny.
We even got a voice recording, I remember.
From Sean of Review Itself. Yeah. Saying like, and I was so entertaining. And I think he even said like he never saw it that way about the fact with the iceberg. You know, they had sex and then the iceberg like appeared, and that's when everything went to like a killer. Like in the horror films where it's like, don't do that, and then otherwise the baddie's going to get you.
100%. And as well, I think it's more the whole aspect of how it goes down after that, like showing, Rose was really happy, she had a fantastic life. And obviously
Yeah.
Jack died really young, and he was such a lovely person. I think it's a rich class thing, isn't it? That's irritating. But also, it was quite interesting to learn about the Titanic, in a sense. Like, why didn't they put enough lifeboats on? Why did they think certain lives were more important than others?
There's a whole, again, with history stuff, that there is all that I'm sure that, I think there's like documentaries about like all about it, like why things happened the way they did and all that kind of stuff. But
that's why we have health and safety overload now.
Yeah. One of the films that I was quite surprised by, I didn't know if I was going to like as much, was when we did the Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah, I
episode.
thought that was going to be rubbish.
Yeah.
We have fully immersed in Dungeons and Dragons now, thanks to one of our Patreons, Jonesy. We are amateur D&D players.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah, not novices or anything by that standard, but we're getting there.
We're getting there, and I think this definitely helped me see what potential when my character, because I was a druid at that time, could have, and just how you would role play into a character, because it's not easy, like making up and thinking on the spot. Like, that's why I used to hate drama in school. But I feel like now we're becoming a little bit more with the second round, isn't it? And we're getting more into his characters. You can kind of see that in this film, and I think next time I'd want to be a bard. Like, I feel like, and that's because of this film.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I could play a good charismatic bard.
That's good. Yeah.
I'd be quite annoying at it, I think, but I think I could do well.
Yeah, the thing that shocked me about it was because of how well it was all done in an aspect of like it didn't seem come across as corny or anything like that, because I think years and years and years ago there was like a Dungeons and Dragons movie, but as far as I know, like CGI was ropey and it just didn't really have much to do with it or something like that. I don't know. I can't really speak too much about it, but it just like very low score. So I'm thinking, oh, it's gonna be like something like that, like some weird cash in on success of it or something like that. But I think it just was actually surprising how charismatic everybody was, and all looked great, and yeah.
No, definitely.
Even going like, I think, oh, I recognise that from the handbook or whatever, or things like that.
I think it kind of helped because we were been playing it as well, and to come and watch a movie that wasn't too over the top and unrealistic towards the actual truth. I have a couple of things now. I think we should go on to 9.5. So obviously we've covered one of yours being The Sound of Music. But the next one of yours is Poor Things. And I just wondered, is that still the same, or would that now be a 10 in your eyes? Emma Stone does get her top off.
I haven't revisited the film.
Would you want to?
I think you get me the disc of it, so yeah, would do. But I haven't just got round to putting it on again. But as far as I know, I don't think it would bump it to 10. If that makes you feel any better.
Yeah.
It might be a stick at 9 before I might go to 9, I don't know. But
okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
I think I only scored 1.95.
Yeah.
You've got one more.
Is that Hercules for you?
Hercules! Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd still keep it as that. And I think yours is Little Women, which
I've already talked about. Yeah.
So if we go on to 9s then, I got 6 9s of the year.
I didn't realise we were going through every single...
No, we're only going to 9s, don't worry.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then I'm going to go to lowest.
Yeah, okay, sure. Okay.
I just feel like we should cover what at least we think is...
Yeah, talk about other things that,
10 to 9 at least.
Yeah, sure.
So...
You've got Destry Rise Again as 9?
Yes.
You had to think about that.
I did. I couldn't find my spot. That's got James Stewart in it, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And you've got that as an 8. I've got Point Break as a 9. And you bought that in 4? Like, is there a 4K version?
Yeah, but at the time we didn't have the 4K.
I didn't
we had to resort
Patrick
to a DVD quality, and I was like, oh my god, I can't see anything on the scene. So now it's like, well, next time we put it on, be like, look out, it'll be like night and day difference.
We'll be
literally.
able to see like sweat dripping off
Yeah,
Keanu Reeves
yeah.
and Patrick
Yeah.
Swayze's body.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks for that, Paul.
In advance, yeah.
Yeah.
And
All of Us Strangers.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had to remind me of this, but I think sometimes I'm really poor with knowing titles of films because I write them and then you put them on and I remember the film but not the name. So this is to do, I think I like hard-hitting real life things.
Dramas.
Yeah.
So
Obviously this is to do covering like a gay couple and one being kind of a little bit older.
Insecure about himself growing up being that heterosexual.
Yeah, I think also your parents as well at that stage probably not being as accepting of the situation compared to the guy who's younger and his parents are, but actually it has a whole twist of it and I think you should just definitely watch it.
Definitely something it's not as bland as it sounds like just being a straight up drama. There's a lot more to it that adds that extra level to it, so I would recommend checking that film out. It's really deep, I think.
Yeah. Then we really had some, well, for me, we had some really strong contenders.
Yeah, 3 in a row for...
Yeah. So Drive with Ryan Gosling. I think I've found my love again for Ryan Gosling. It's weird. One minute, I don't really fancy him. The next, I'm like, yep. Once I've seen him as Ken, like...
That revitalised the fire.
It really did.
Yeah.
And even in Drive, he's got, like...
That bad boy persona kind of thing. He's like stoic, like quiet, reserved, but it's
and his voice is deeper. It is compared to like his normal Ryan Gosling voice, where it's a bit squeaky.
Mm-hmm. Was that the same? We haven't done an episode of it when we watched The Fall Guy.
Yeah, still there.
Still there. No,
still there. I don't know how you didn't rate that though, did you?
No, that was teetering on the cringe on that in that film a little bit.
Which is weird because I didn't feel it as much, but maybe it's because it had star power. I was
blindsided.
Maybe a little. Yeah. I bet you if that didn't have the casting it had, I wouldn't appreciate it half as much.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like I'm making it sound like there's loads of silly slapstick or anything like that, but just how it was sort of done with more with the dialogue perhaps and a little bit. But anyway, yeah. No, Drive is still holds up. It's really good.
You gave it a 9 too.
Yep.
And then The Kid, which is Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, first Charlie Chaplin film.
I feel like we've been banging on about watching a Charlie Chaplin film for ages, and then we just decided to do it. We didn't know which one, so we went with the first ever one, right?
I don't know if it was maybe his first feature film,
right?
Because he's done all those shorts like Buster Keaton had done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it made sense to start from the beginning. Really, and there's like a whole load I've got upstairs to go through. But maybe worth getting in next year, maybe for a couple more, or one at least. And yeah, so why did you give 9.5 to Hercules? I don't think we touched on that. You just said Hercules as if like that was all you needed. That was your case in point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. First of all, you have Pegasus. You have gods. You've got Jen. It's Jen, isn't it?
Sorry?
Jen? What's her name now? Meg.
Jen.
I knew it was. It's got an E in it at least.
Yeah, so highly. Did you couldn't even remember the?
I don't know. I think I just really enjoy the whole music, the way that it's drawn, the story. I think it's just magnificent, and I remember. I think there's a nostalgia part to it. Like I used to have a Pegasus, like horse toy
action figure.
Yeah, when I was little, I didn't have a Hercules or a Meg, but I had.
But he was an action figure in the film.
I did have Pegasus, and I absolutely.
Did you have a little Phil?
No, just a Pegasus. I don't know why. I was a bit of a I would say a Tina from Bob's Burgers. I loved anything horses, which was really funny because I'd never ridden a horse until I was 30 years old. And then decided I don't want to ride a horse ever again. So maybe if my mum had plunked me on a horse when I was younger, I might have been one of these horse people.
Yeah.
But it's past now. I realise this is too high. I'm scared. My adult brain's kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just Hercules, the singing on the vases, the way it's drawn, just everything about it. I do remember being petrified when I was little of
Hades.
Hades absolutely scared me. But obviously going to a Christian school, knowing about the devil, being good, all of that stuff probably made it a bit too real at that time. You gave it an 8. Do you still agree?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like how I like that's like another like favorite Disney animated film from back in the day. It's weird, like how much I remembered. I think I'd said when we did the episode.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't seen it in such a long time, but you almost like knew the beats of the film.
Yeah.
Quite well.
Same.
And I think thinking of like little figures, I think I had the little Pain and Panic.
No, I like those two.
Little minions.
Yeah.
as figurines or something like that, and I don't know if like it was like a PC, like CD-ROM game or something they had, or something like we're fighting the Hydra or something. I think I don't know.
Cool. I think this is the thing with Hercules for me. Like I remember saying I loved Sleeping Beauty and The Princess and what's the other one? You ruined it for me. It's called Aurora. Swan Lake.
Swan Princess. Odette.
Yeah, Odette. And
that's not Disney though.
No, it wasn't. But I remember that as being a child, really, really like loved it.
Yeah.
But then put it on and couldn't remember any of it. Whereas Hercules, I remember loving it as a child and still remembering it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where you show two different films, like actually
how well they've grown, how well they've aged.
Yeah, and aged with you.
Yes.
100%. Whereas like Hercules, I'd still watch again and again.
Yeah.
Sadly, I wouldn't
watch Swan Princess.
No, because there's too many singing in it. I was like, Jesus, why did I like this? I think it was just she was a pretty blonde girl, and that was the only thing. So obviously, the next 9 we've got is The Haunting from yourself. You actually didn't score Halloween that high, which was quite amusing this year. And I think I was quite generous.
Yeah, you were actually. You were surprised growing up in that sense as well.
Thank you. Do we get an award?
Harder hitting ones next year. Because you did say, oh, well, Paul, can we things that actually scare you as like...
I don't remember saying that.
Did. You definitely said that.
I'm sure you possessed me. I did not say that.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I don't think that episode did that well, to be honest. Annoyingly, The Haunting. Yeah.
That's such a shame because I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
That was like, out of all of them, I'd say that was the one that scared me a little bit the most. Like, The Omen, I really thought that was going to crap me up. But it kind of did the same thing as The Exorcist. I think there was so much story and not much scare that it intrigued me more than it scared me.
Okay.
Whereas The Haunting, there was too many shadows, too many, what could get you around each corner. And
because it was in
black and white as well, it really added to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it still holds up as really being effective with how that handles everything, really. And just the simple things that you'd have to go overboard with effects and thing, and just let your mind make the demons, as it were.
Yeah.
I think that's more the scarier part of things.
Yeah.
Because it's what you can conjure up in your head as being the monster or
I think
ghosts
that's
or whatever.
What I've noticed, like probably watching The Haunting next time probably wouldn't impact me as much. I think the only issue with these Halloween films or movie Halloween
for October, yeah,
is once you've watched them, like, for example, we rewatched Blair Witch. It lost everything for me. Like, I was not scared whatsoever. And I think sometimes that's, like, a one-time watch because it's like, well, I didn't really feel anything. I was like, I knew what would come in. I knew there was nothing there, nothing to scare me. And I'd gone in with that brain like, this isn't scary. Whereas the first time I watched it, I was absolutely like,
Petrified, yeah.
yeah, because I didn't know what was coming. Where it lost it a little bit, sadly.
That's a shame because I mean, so yeah, certainly for me, I've seen it countless times now, but like, I'm not going there like, oh, I'm really absolutely scared, but getting that new disc with like how it's intended to look with like the quality of it,
Yeah.
even though obviously it's supposed to make it look like it's an old camera.
Don't get me wrong, I appreciated that.
It's almost like again like seeing it in a new light, essentially, which it pretty much was. But going through that journey with those people still holds up you there for like how they are acting with one another.
Don't get me wrong, they're doing great at that.
And don't get me wrong, there's still like what the is that kind of thing, like, or that kind of like shaky thing, and it's still a bit like disorienting because you're then thinking, are you gonna see something that you couldn't quite see before, kind of like thing, or not? But or I don't know, just the nature of like being in that putting yourself in that situation with those characters. How would you be reacting? Would you be snapping at each other?
Probably
having a breakdown.
Probably.
Kind of thing.
All of them.
And
I think it's just for me to mentally prepare and be okay and stable. Like when we watched the Paranormal Activity, I could try and... There's two ways I can go into it. I can be this really anxious, kind of overstimulated Sophie, which was my first watch for Blair Witch.
Yeah.
Or I can be, this isn't real, this ain't going to happen.
Detach yourself.
And I can really do that, and then the film doesn't have any impact. And I know you said when we watched Blair Witch, you really enjoyed it the first time because you were feeding off
your energy,
my energy.
Yeah, that's true. I'd say like with these, I can never really gauge with now, sadly, with the horror films, because it's like I don't know what I might like with Exorcist last year, where I thought you'd be papping your pants.
I really thought I was going to be,
but that didn't happen. So I was quite surprised by that. And then so going forward with these, like I don't know if you can have the same impact, but I still wanted to cover them because they are pretty much like classics within the horror genre that people know and love, and so especially like with like more modern one with Wreck.
Yeah.
That kind of, again, like handheld thing, but like how and in a different language and all that kind of...
I've noticed something about myself with this. So I feel like there's a lot of learning going on. Anything that's got zombies or anything like that's a disease or something like that, I'm probably not going to think it's real. And therefore, there might be jump scares like in Wreck there was, and it did me, but I can detach and go, when are we going to have a zombie apocalypse? Don't get me wrong, some people might think it, but I'm just like...
Give it time.
Not in my lifetime, probably. So I can detach and think, oh, that's not real, and not find it scary. Yeah. Whereas, like, anything haunting, like the haunting, I think that's the thing, like, that could be real. The Omen, I don't know...
Now people would obviously maybe
They would question me, yeah.
They would question about it, be like, ghosts, are they real, though?
Well, I think that's down to everybody's interpretation.
Sorry.
But yeah. But that's the same with the fact that, you know, people might think there's a zombie apocalypse coming in and building a bunker.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. So with what you're saying about the Nightmare on Elm Street, when you said mentioned that, brought that up earlier, what was the...
I love Freddy. I absolutely love him. He is my favourite, like, Halloween villain kind of type of mass murderer. Like,
that's weird to say coming from Sophie's mouth. He's my favourite murderer.
I don't know. There's just something about him, like
sort of jovial, tongue in cheek. Like
I think my next one would have to be The Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah,
Hannibal Lecter. Like them two. I'd like if either one of them want to kill me. Like, I'd probably take Freddy, just because I feel like I'd be killed quicker than Hannibal. But I feel like the way they do it with some class. Instead of like Chainsaw Massacre, where they're just coming at me with a chainsaw, or like Halloween
with a knife.
Yeah, I feel like there'd be some form of element of surprise with how.
Well, yeah, because obviously Nightmare on Elm Street is based on in your dreams, so anything could literally happen as to how you've attacked.
Exactly.
You run away and no, he's there because he can just appear like that and kind of stuff and all that stuff.
And the way that he walks and the way that he like enters a room is like his presence is just.
Yeah.
Whereas like Halloween is just deadpan, like, with a knife, and it's just a bit like, is that it? Yeah, it can be scary, but at the same time, I think to myself, well, I could kill you. I could try and kill you.
I mean, they try, but he still comes.
But you know what I mean? Like, whereas with Freddy, he's already dead, isn't he? Or is he? I don't know. Or he's in your head.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Mm.
There's something
he's like
a bit
ghost in that sense, then, isn't he? Because, like, again, like, oh, how'd you kill a ghost? Kind of.
It's something a bit more special about it, I feel.
Yeah.
I do think I'd consider it to be higher, because I did give it a 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
I probably would agree with you with an 8 now.
Okay. Yeah.
And I would rewatch it.
Yeah, and I said on the episode, like, I've only seen the first one. There's numerous other films, like 2, 3, 4, 5. I think a New Nightmare, I think it's called. But I don't know whether it's me to vet them to see if they're worth talking about.
Yeah,
particularly.
maybe.
I've heard, like Jordan said, like, oh, the second one is a lot more darker anyway, so it's a bit like, okay, maybe I'll check on that first, see how.
I think it also
goes,
helped having Jordan on the podcast, because I really thought, oh, great, Paul, thanks for throwing me under the bus, getting someone in for Halloween. You know I'm never going to like any of them. And then it was really nice to be able to be like, I actually liked it. And I think even he was surprised, like, how much I really liked Freddy. So I think the next one, obviously, Edward Scissorhands, you gave a 9.
Yep.
And the Holdovers, which I really enjoyed this for once, because I think you become me when I'm Halloween, really lowly scoring. That's what you become when it's Christmas.
Right, yeah, I get you.
You always seem to score whatever we're watching, like Noel, for example, last year. I'm sure you gave that really...
No, that was almost a couple of years ago now.
Well, whatever. You know,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
just those kind of things just leave a bad taste in my mouth, as it were. Really, but
whereas the Holdovers was different.
Yeah, a kind of film that they don't make films like this anymore, but they did. So it's refreshing in a wholesome yet cynical way.
But I think it comes around in a good way in the end.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it just shows what life is.
Yeah.
And I think
as we're getting older, that's more appealing. As opposed to, little sugar plum fairies that...
Don't get me wrong, I like some sugar plum fairies, but not the over-top Hallmark versions.
Yeah. Just the ones that are little CGI character type things or something.
Even though, like, we watched that Christmas and that didn't score as highly, I think that would have scored higher with my younger self, especially if Ed Sheeran's done one of the songs on it. I would have been like, 10.
Yeah, you would have done, yeah.
Which I wasn't, so I only gave that a 7. So if you're happy, we can now go on to our lowest scores.
Yeah, just the ones of note, really. But there's, one of the lower ones that certainly you gave anyway, which I think is more left more iconic thing, which I guess is from it's just from the film, where you rub your hand down your face, and that was in Face Off. It's something I wanted to see for such a long time, and then that's mostly what I took from the film. Like,
and I think that was my fault as well, because I kept going, why do they keep doing this?
Pointing it out.
Ugh.
So
imagine, like, how would you like it if someone just kept stroking your face, like face palm in your face, like, disgusting. You washed your hands.
Yeah. Still fun action film, but I mean, nothing spectacular. Kind of like, maybe it's a bit late in the day for me to have seen it to myself, to be honest, but
I would have not wanted to see it, thanks.
We did see it, so
yeah, that's not. Well, to be fair, I didn't even remember it, and it says it in the name.
We've got Teen Wolf. That was like probably the lowest.
That was score. Your lowest, apart from Scooby-Doo 2?
Yes. Yeah, that was. I think I'd bump that down to 4.
Teen Wolf.
To be honest, I've not really thought about it, and it's what it is, really.
Yeah, it was light-hearted enough. I think Felt like, because obviously the guy from Back to the Future was in it, I expected a little bit more of that.
Charm
Yeah.
to it, but it just didn't come across that way.
And it looked really crappy.
Yeah.
It's really dated.
It's more like a basketball movie, really, than it was a...
If I'm going to watch a basketball movie that looks a bit crappy, I'll watch Space Jam, thanks.
Oh, that's fired.
I'm complimenting it. Backhandedly. But I am. I think my next lowest score would be Under the Silver Lake.
That was the lowest.
My lowest score, a 3.
Yeah.
You gave it a 5. So I don't feel like I was too harsh scoring it a 3. I just didn't get it. It was
just felt a bit overblown, trying to be too clever.
Yeah.
And it's because I went back on like other like maybe like reviews and stuff like just on YouTube and stuff, but they seem like it's either it's kind of like high praise from critics, but also not at the same time. Like, so it's kind of like a very mixed bag, but majority was kind of like, oh, this is like modern masterpiece type of thing. But
did we just miss something, Paul?
I had more high expectations, but it just wasn't for me really. It just felt like if I'm going to spend 2.5 hours with a film, I'm going to put something on like The Shining or
I think that's the thing, isn't it?
Something like that. Yeah, something I actually enjoy. There's nothing that I don't. I'm sure there's probably more hidden meanings. Probably might not have picked up on the first watch, but I'm not really that invested to go bother to check them out. To be honest,
like I'd actually prefer to put The Big Lebowski on and rewatch that over the Under the Silver Lake. Like
Sam would be happy with that.
I would though.
Yeah.
I'm more invested in the guy and the character of Big Lebowski than I am Under the Silver Lake. He's just a bum, and it just seems to be like he gets away with being a bum, and I just don't condone that kind of lifestyle. I guess you need to work hard to get where you're going, not
just coast through. Yeah,
sponge off everybody.
Yeah, guess that's what kind of annoyed me about the Under the Silver Lake, like with Andrew Garfield, that his character of that. And it's like he's like somehow.
You was Spider-Man. Now you're this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I've seen him in an advert recently. I'm thinking, oh, it's not.
Oh, is that maybe for a new film? Because I think he's in with Florence Pugh.
Oh, I thought he was actually advertising something.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's that majority of the lowest ones and things I've noted to go through. Other than that, say, for me, like Never Ending Story, which... Again, that would have maybe been a nostalgia thing for me if I'd seen it a lot sooner, but it just didn't hold up at all.
I actually was more generous with it than you.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I was more just looking, going like, that editing is shoddy.
Yeah.
And just the effects and just, it was just very distracting as a...
I just think the story was just not very intriguing. To say that it had the word story in the title, I'd want more of a bit of a...
Yeah.
Just didn't make much sense that he was reading it and how they knew he was at. I just...
Yeah,
it was a bit wishy-washy for my liking. There was some little laces not tied up along the way that they've not really thought about it.
Yeah, so that might be, again, for like childhood nostalgia for some people, but it's just not, even though it's like Jim Henson puppets.
But they're a bit questionable, aren't they?
Yeah.
Some are oversized, some are too small. It's just like, I feel like I'm a bit like Goldilocks. I'm just like, well, it's just not hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah. Missteps, but there we are.
I think as well, the one that you ruined me of this year for Christmas, it's a very, very, well, too many berries, Muppet Christmas.
Yeah.
I was just like, what are you doing to me? It's a Wonderful Life it's meant to be. One of my favourites. With the Muppets, I can't go wrong. How wrong can you actually go? It did. I was just like, Paul, why are you putting this on? Why are you making me give one of my lowest Christmas scores, probably?
Yeah, maybe
maybe
it is. From like looking back on the other ones, I don't know, but it was more just because we'd done Muppets Christmas Carol last year. I was like, well, I did want to cover that the film this year or a follow-up year or whatever, but just like, oh, well, it's definitely on the cards to do that because I know how you feel about both those two subjects. So it's like an experiment, and for me also, like, reflecting back on it, what I would have seen when I was younger and going, oh yeah, this really isn't adding up to much here.
It's a shame.
Yeah. I think the only other thing with this list, anyway, is got Hundreds of Beavers, which I found quite fun, but you didn't seem to really gel with it too much.
I remember it though.
Yeah. For 7.
Give it 7. That's generous.
Yeah, you did.
That's very generous. I would definitely not give it a 7 now.
No.
I'd probably consider a 6.
Right.
I didn't like that. It was just annoying. It was trying to be a cartoon. But
well, that's why I told. Yeah, I made it sound like. And
yeah, it's just very boring. Very like, I think, who would watch a cartoon for 2 hours? Like, unless you're a child.
What you mean, like of like a Looney Tunes cartoon, or just any cartoon, like
a
Disney
Looney Tune,
right?
2 hours. But I think unless you're really poorly or got something wrong with you.
Jesus Christ, there's something wrong with you, man.
You're giving me a rum. The truth serum's come out.
And there was another one on the list I was going to bring up. Where's it gone now? Oh yeah, the rare occasion where you said, "Oh, I'm going to pick a film, Paul, that you haven't seen." What would that have been, Soph?
13 going on 30.
Well, there is that. But obviously, that's for your birthday special. But I'm talking about Lizzie McGuire movie.
Oh yeah, the best movie ever.
So good that you gave it 7.5.
Yeah.
For the best movie ever.
Yeah. I'd rewatch it again. I told you this is my marking now. 7. Anything above a 7, I'll rewatch again. Anything below that, I won't.
Okay.
So.
By that proxy, yeah.
Yeah.
You've done that, yeah.
What do you think of it? Hey now.
Not as bad as I thought it was. That's all I'll say on that, and that was a 6.
Yeah, I love Liz McGuire. So, would you rewatch that again, Paul?
Not in a hurry.
I think if I'm really poorly, I'll put it on, and I'd be feeling so much better. But then, again, we got a lot of love for that one. I'm not gonna lie, like, a lot of people my age were like, "Yep, really appreciate you covering it," and I think that's because it's a hidden little love for Liz McGuire.
Like a nostalgia thing.
Yeah. Say so.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think that's all notable ones on there. There's a few we'll probably talk about on the statistics I've got.
Oh, you got statistics. You've done your homework.
Yes, I have, and this is similar to what we did wrote down last year, which was the top 10 episodes of all time through the year. Okay. This is including stuff that we've done from previous years, is what I mean by that.
But this is for 2024.
Yeah, of the year 2024. And then there's the top 10 new episodes that we've released in 2024.
Oh, interesting.
So, work backwards from the all-time downloads for the year that have been from this year, which are Wolfwalkers at number 10.
Oh, nice.
And that's still one of my favourite animated.
Have you got it still as your laptop or computer screensaver?
Still in the background of that room. So much love it. Juno.
Maybe is that the Sabrina Carpenter song coming into play there?
Possibly, I don't know. But Scooby-Doo.
All right,
episodes. Cool. Yeah, and that was including both films in that episode. So yeah. But I think mostly for the Scooby-Doo first film. Titanic.
What number was that?
Sorry, yeah, that was number 7.
7.
Yeah, sorry.
I thought that'd be higher.
Yeah, so did I. And number 6 is Grave of the Fireflies.
All right. Did we have anyone guessed on that? We didn't, did we?
No, we didn't. No. No. That's just very strange that number 5 is The Full Monty, which was like an early episode of the year. I suppose unsurprisingly, Poor Things was a high contender of.
It was popular when we released it, and obviously we've had Jazz as the guest as well.
Yeah. Number 3, Halloween 1978.
Is that the first one?
Yeah, the very first one, yeah.
That's a while ago, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Don't know why. Number 2, Muppets Christmas Carol from last year.
Oh, with Emma.
Yep.
One of our patrons.
Yes, obviously I did some of the Christmas fix.
Don't blame him. Maybe it was Emma re-listening to it.
And the highest one, which I know is because it was a mini episode.
Oh.
The Taylor Swift Eras Tour.
Oh well, the queen that is T Swift. I mean, anything with her name on it, you're climbing up the charts, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
You're welcome. That was our anniversary gift to each other.
Yeah, it was
last year.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I was kind of, when in the Muppets Christmas Carol that goes Tiny Dim that didn't die. But I feel like that's how I just did last year.
And so now we have the top 10 newest episodes from this year in reverse order again. Oh, but before that, we've got some honourable mentions, which because they're kind of similarly scoring, but we have Akira and Belle just below the top 10.
Okay.
That's what I
cool.
mean by that. So that's from Anime. So number 10, we've got The Big Lebowski. Sam.
Yeah.
Film blogger Sam. Face Off at number 9.
Why? Okay. Weird.
Just above that is number 8 is the Rugrats movies.
Yes.
Which I didn't know if that was a gamble in itself. Like, I don't know how well that episode was going to do, but pretty well. Like, a lot of lessons on it. Again, maybe a nostalgia thing.
100%.
For that. Number 7 is The Sound of Music.
Okay.
Didn't get
as high.
Number 6 is Point Break with M from Verbal Diorama.
Yeah. That was a good one. I enjoyed that one.
Number 5, which was again so surprising, is Death Proof.
Do I even know what that is?
That was the second episode we did of this year, and that was another Tarantino one.
I scored that 7.5. That's very generous. I don't think I liked it as much as I did.
The one where he's driving the car in the car. Yeah, presuming women and gets his comeuppance.
Why did I get 7.5? Maybe because he got his comeuppance.
Yeah, in the end. Number 4, the Scooby-Doo episode. Number 3, Titanic.
Oh, I was wondering when you were going to say Titanic. Yeah. I did wonder if that was going to be number 1. So now I'm like, is it Poor Things number 1, yeah?
Yeah. So Full Monty is number 2. Poor Things is number 1. Yeah.
Perfect.
But again, also, I can say the fact that Full Monty's got such a high...
got a raunchy listeners.
Apparently so, yeah. Yeah. Who'd have thought, eh? Right. I think, barring a couple of things, one of the last things to do is, has this affected any of your top 10s movies of list? Because there's only one change for me, really, because that's the Inglourious Bastards on my list, and I think...
What does that get rid of?
I think it's probably going to knock off Monty Python and Holy Grail.
Holy Grail, yes, thank God. Why was that even on there? Jesus. The only
Yeah,
time I
so that
remember
would-
that is our anniversary where we went to Loch Ness and it mentioned them.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it once and never watched it again.
Maybe do a rewatch.
Hmm?
Maybe do a rewatch.
No.
So that would move that into 4th place. So that will bump down American Psycho.
Okay, where did you have Monty Python?
Number 8.
Number 8.
But I'll shimmy it
Okay.
all down out of the way.
Got you.
So I don't know what you've
Hmm.
made with your notes on.
Mine's very more cohesive. Like last
Yeah.
year, I was a bit sporadic. I think I just didn't really know what I wanted.
Okay. So you're doing reverse order.
I can do. Yeah.
Or you
Yeah.
However you want to do it.
So last year, in number 10 was the Aristocats.
Mm-hmm.
That is no longer on my list.
Okay.
I have now put my 10th place as Belle.
Right. Animation for animation.
Yep.
Or anime, rather.
The Grinch has stayed the same, so that's in 9th spot.
Okay.
Number 8 was About Time. That is no longer on my list. That has been replaced by Little Women.
I'd say that's a stronger switch out. Yeah.
Yep. Number 7 is no longer on my list, which was Serendipity. Which I feel awful about because you bought me a Blu-ray of it this year.
Christmas present.
I'm so sorry.
You still like it though?
I still like it.
Yeah. But I
just don't think it's in my top 10 anymore.
Yeah, okay.
It's been replaced with The Apartment.
Ah, good, yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Happy about that. Which for me, I rewatching that this year, I definitely say that's a 10-worthy film, but it's tricky to fit that in with all the other ones, but maybe I need a proper sift through. I've kind of just kept some of my things I know I do like, but there's probably going to, like, when we come around this to another time, there's probably going to be a big shift around. But,
I get you.
sorry.
Number 6 last year was Love Actually. That is still on my list, however, it's been moved up to number 4.
Okay.
What's replaced number 6 is Barbie, which was a number 3 last year.
Okay, why is that dropped 2 points? Why is
Love Actually's gone up because we watched it with commentary this year, and I think there was some lovely little perks, and I think I just realised I was more nostalgic for Love Actually. I think it is something that it was our first film we watched, as we met.
Yeah.
It's something I would watch every single year. I think Barbie's dropped a little bit just because it is impactful, but would I watch it every single year? Is it something I crave every year? I think that's why it's dropped a little bit.
Yeah.
And Love Actually's gone up.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone with what would I really like to watch at least once a year or really miss if I didn't see it.
Yes, I've got you. Yeah, okay. But Barbie's still on the list.
She's still on the list. She's just not number 3. She's number 6.
Okay. 5.
Number 5 last year was My Neighbour is Totoro.
Uh-huh.
That's no longer on my list.
Okay.
And it's been replaced with La La Land, which has dropped only 1 point. It was in 4th.
Yeah.
It's now in 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, 4th's now been taken with Love Actually instead.
Yep.
A Wonderful Life has dropped by 1 point. It was 2 on my list last year. It's now 3.
3, yep.
And obviously Barbie was 3 last year. Gosh, this is confusing, isn't it?
Yeah.
With a new entry in place number 2. I don't know if you can guess what
Sound
that
of
is.
Music.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the number 1 spot is still the same, Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? So if I just reel it off just in order, Singing in the Rain is number 1. Sound of Music is number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, It's a Wonderful Life. 4, Love Actually. 5, La La Land. 6, Barbie. 7, The Apartment. 8, Little Women. 9 being The Grinch. And 10, Belle.
Okay. I like some shifts there, but also at the same time it's like, I can't believe the Grinch is still like a non-mover in any. I mean, I'm glad it's not gone up, but the fact it's still like.
I don't feel like it can go. It's like me saying to you, whap Jurassic Park's out. Like, it's just not going to happen.
I suppose
it's just the same thing.
Yeah.
I think it's just always going to be there because it's nostalgia. I've grown up with it. I've seen Whoville in real life. Like, I love the Grinch. Like, I was thinking like Home Alone, but I think I'd have to do my own top 10 Christmas.
Oh yeah. I think maybe we should do that at some point as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because
something like that.
Like 4 at least. Maybe 1, 2, 3. Maybe The Apartment you could class as a Christmas film.
Yeah, so it bleeds into that, doesn't it, a little bit?
It's like 4 of them. Maybe in Little Women, you said that was a little bit. It's like 5 are Christmas films. So maybe like I was thinking like The Muppets Christmas Carol. Like I absolutely adore that. But then is it 10 top 10 worthy?
I know what you mean.
Because we have not watched it this year, whereas like The Grinch is a non-negotiable. At some point around Christmas, I have to watch it. So it's just like your equivalent of The Shining, like around Halloween time.
Or any time. Not necessarily.
Well, with me, it's acceptable once a year to watch it, you know.
But I'm saying like, at any point in the year you can watch Shining.
You could.
Yeah. Whereas
but I wouldn't want to.
You have to reserve Christmas films particularly for Christmas because that's when you can.
I feel like I'd only want to watch The Shining though around Halloween.
Get what you're saying, yeah.
Just because why would I want to get scared twice a year? But yeah, are you proud of some of them?
Yeah, I like the fact that Apartment's gone in there. Well, like I say, like that's kind of made me think, oh yeah, I should have maybe adjusted mine a little bit. Where I've only essentially gone from the fact of one is from covering it as an episode this year, and it's like, that's definitely cemented it as
true. To be fair, some of mine have been what we've covered, like Sound of Music, Little Women, and Belle. They've all been this year. Yeah,
because again, with saying like with Totoro, again that is kind of its own like top 10, isn't it? Like of anime, or animation.
Like I felt cruel. Like don't get me wrong, I did feel harsh, but I felt like I really had a stronger connection to like The Apartment over my neighbour, my Totoro.
Yeah.
And like the Aristocats, it's like something I have grown up with, and Ricky Ticky Ticky. But last time I watched it, it was good, but it wasn't like Belle where it was like I'm fully watching this and immersed in it.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah,
it was just like Aristocats you can bung on in the background and do loads of other stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I say that about the Grinch, but I just have that stronger connection.
Okay. Yep.
All very much rom-commy, girly powered films still. But
in some aspects, yeah. But they have some of them. They're not the atypical ones, are they? Really,
a lot of musicals.
Yep, that's for sure. I mean, you can say Belle's sort of as a musical element too, as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, not bad. So I'd say that's a somewhat progress. In the nicest way.
I think it's more strong contenders.
Yeah. 100%.
I feel like it's more concise, and I'm quite happy with it at the moment.
Yeah. But yeah, it's easy to forget, like films that you've maybe rated so highly, and then it's like in amongst everything else, like you'd probably get to a point where you could even start doing like enough to put like a 25 or a 50.
Yeah,
in
probably,
and then that makes it a bit easier. What goes under? Yeah, tops what and
which one's which?
Yeah,
I know you did a top 10 music as well this year.
Yeah, I did,
albums. And
Album of the year. Yeah, that was a fun little side project. Did as well.
I think it inspired you this year with 2024 being like some really good albums that came out like for you.
Yeah, it's been more of a case of listening to more. Or sort of certainly the back end of paying more attention to like more music that isn't just in the charts as such. Like there's a lot of like films, there's a whole world of music out there.
Yeah.
And coming across artists that I may not have necessarily come across had I not, done some deeper digging with it. So that was a little fun thing to do, put together, which is on Instagram page if you want to see what those are.
I do think it's funny though, because compared to your Spotify rap, it tells us that you've had a bright summer.
It does. That is one of the things that did happen on the back of that. But I think that is, if I'm saying from what as a whole album as a whole, it's very different in terms of what I've enjoyed, as opposed to having a single song that just happens to be playing on the liked songs list or whatever.
The artist, I feel like sometimes the algorithm, obviously, like for example, if you've got Taylor Swift, how many albums has she got versus maybe The Last Dinner Party, who's only done one album, you're gonna listen to more Taylor Swift because there is just
there's more
songs.
Catalog, isn't there?
They've only got 12 or 13 songs or whatever.
Yeah, so it's not fair in that capacity. Hence why, as you'll see from the list in there. But I mean, I do implore you to check out I can repost the 2024 my favorite songs list on my Spotify page for you to go listen to. Then maybe you can discover some new artists, or that song's a banger kind of thing. Kind of stuff.
Or vice versa, they can recommend to us as well.
Yeah, but bear in mind, the more cases what songs I would personally think are like really good choices. They may not necessarily reflect what you might enjoy, but it's a starting point, and you can go listen to the album and whatever, and see if there is something you do like.
To be honest, I think meeting you and marrying you has fastened my music and my movies massively.
Yeah,
it was quite funny because at the end of the year, me and Mum always watched Christmas with the Cranks, and Paul hates it. And I actually bought it on Amazon because we didn't
on my account.
On your account. I paid you. Yeah. And it was the best quality I've ever seen Christmas in the Cranks with I think we had this crappy burnt disc from somebody. And it was oh my goodness, the quality of this is amazing. And then me and my mum were like, this is Paul's fault. We wouldn't normally care. And we wouldn't be this type of person. And now we're like, oh, this is really good. But there's still bits in that we have to fast. And you were like, well, you shouldn't have to fast a film. And I'm like, well, if I can make Sophie cuts, then that's fine. But I think it's just one of those things where you enjoy watching it from the nostalgia more than its actual film that it's given.
The way that the creator intended.
Yeah.
Dear me.
I could do cuts in The Shining actually for you if you like.
Go on, then where would you cut things out?
I would cut the old lady in the bath out completely. That would be my first cut.
Integral.
No.
I thought you were going to say if I was to chop something off, it's more in the extended cut where Dick Halloran's making his way to the Overlook Hotel after the snowstorm. There's certain bits in that they don't really need to have going the whole blooming journey.
No, I agree.
But
it's nice to know that you would cut something out of your favourite film.
Mm-hmm.
What about Jurassic Parks?
What
about the yellow man guy that when he gets ate by raptors, he's really annoying.
Nedry?
Yeah.
He's not ate by raptors. He's by Dilophosaurus with the acid spin in his face.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah. And no, why would I cut him out? He's the whole reason that the park goes. Again, he's very integral to the story.
He annoys me. I'm happy when he dies.
Would there be anything? No, I don't think there's much really woodcut from. I think it all especially has got. Oh, maybe if I was younger, I'd be like, oh, I don't boring talking bits, but thinking an adult head now, I think it's still all makes clear sense as to why they're having those discussions about sitting around the dinner table, the ethics of it all kind of thing, doesn't like, oh, should we be doing this kind of thing and all that kind of stuff. But
I think for me, for the Sound of Music, it would be the back end with the kind of where it's becoming more prevalent of the wars coming and the show. And
you don't like war films?
Exactly, I think that's the bit that I'd cut out.
But it's true. It's based on a.
I know, but like if I had to, like that bit goes on a bit too long for my liking.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, Singing in the Rain, I wouldn't cut anything out. It's just perfect, and that's why it's a 10 spot.
The number 1 spot.
Yeah. What's your number 1? Shining.
See, yeah. If I'm again adult head, it's going to be Shining. But other days you could tell me, oh, it's Jurassic Park. So that's
it's hard, isn't it?
It does fluctuate. Yeah, depending on mood really. But I don't think they'd be hard pressed to find something that ever takes like precedence of top spot.
I think it's nice now because people ask me what your favourite film is, and I can either say them two, and I know I'm pretty much sorted.
Yeah. So going forward with things, are we looking forward to what is ahead in store for 2025?
Yeah. Hopefully we'll do a full year. Hopefully 2025 will be kind. It'll be a good year.
Yeah, no pauses for this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think certainly I know I've got love discs that
Santa brought.
Yeah, not only that, but just stuff that I've been like putting aside and trying to figure where to fit them in. If that makes sense. Not doing the same categories and stuff. Yeah. So that's working around that. So yeah, it's gonna be somewhat a challenge to go. Okay, when do I mix in with potential guests as well?
Yeah,
being a thing as well, hopefully. And so yeah, it should be interesting, and I'm hoping it's for another good run of films that people know, maybe some that don't know, perhaps, I don't know, or lesser known, should I say? Because it's always kind of like tricky because how the fact of you don't want to. I don't always want to have to do the ones that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Just because, like, oh well, then people are going to get the listens. Whereas I would rather much talk about lesser known films and get people intrigued to go and watch the thing. But obviously, on the basis of it, if it's a spoiler discussion, like pretty much is all the time, then it's like, how do you tiptoe around
the actual discussion
thing? And like, are then people going to be interested? But then the idea is it prompts people, but without prior warning as such, like maybe a day or two, to be knowing about it. That it's like, oh, I've got to watch that film before the episode comes out.
Yeah,
so it avoids spoilers. But
I think as well for us, just in 2025, I'd say the best thing is to become more organised. So if you say you've already got some ideas, maybe we need to start reaching out to people already if they want to join, or us planning how we want the year to loosely look.
Yeah.
Like, are we still wanting to do anime? Is that still something we're considering?
Yeah, certainly at least maybe 1 year run, because we didn't get a chance to complete that one. There was something that was like 5. That was a 5-weeker as well, wasn't it, or something? So we cut that short, but that's personal reasons as such.
Yeah.
I was still going to do October Halloween themed ones.
No, never.
Christmas, obviously. But, I don't know if there's any other theme ones we put in there or what. I don't know, but
I would really like a James Stewart month.
I thought you were going to say James Bond.
No.
Month. James Stewart, right?
Or like that era.
Old-timey.
I would really like that. I don't know if we'd get much listens, but I'd really enjoy it.
There probably would be, because there are obviously some ones I haven't seen with him in. There are some that I know you haven't seen him. Not even. Yeah.
Just putting that out there. See what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we've gone for long enough.
I do.
I don't know how long it's gone, but we do very much appreciate you listening in. Hope you've all had a good Christmas anyway, and look forward to the new year.
fingers crossed the 2025 is a good year for everybody and we have a good start to it.
So, if you want to check out some of our other episodes, then you can do so by going to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you get podcasts from. And as always, be sure to leave us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else they do the scoring system.
And if you haven't subscribed, followed, all of that yet, then please do. We are on several platforms. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Threads,
Blue Sky?
And Blue Sky.
And X.
And X. So, apart from Blue Sky, we're under the handle SP_Filmviewers, and Blue Sky, we're just SP without the underscore.
Yeah, all one word with that one. Yeah. Yep. Yes, that would be also much appreciated as well, and share around with other like-minded movie review people or movie fans.
I think that's one thing I need to just say about this year, with having guests on and just been doing this podcast for so long, like how many connections we've made, and you keep up to several people, like still talking and becoming close friends with them now. Like the magic of podcasting. I just think it's really special. And if anyone is listening thinking, oh, I wish I could do that, like actually anyone can. Like you can do it, like as long as you've got...
Yeah, I mean, I see, surprising as it may seem, I still see like new on Instagram, particularly that's where I spend most of my time, to be honest, with the socials, is like new pages popping up saying I've like a podcast of themed around, I don't know, Frasier, or you know, like going through every minute of a film or something, like, you know, like that kind of weird stuff, but that people are clearly have a passion for doing whatever they want to talk about. So it's and yeah, more power to you to be doing it, really, because
it's not easy doing a podcast.
It's not easy,
but it's fun.
I'm sure it's not easy to maintain multiple podcasts either. But
yeah, let's not do that. Right, should we wrap up?
Yeah. So, well, thank you very much for listening once again, and we will speak to you in the new year.
Speak to you in the new year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye.